Yeah, let's move on to another topic, quite connected to the podcast as well. We are going to open our subreddit. It will be called SUNTZU Academy with an underscore, obviously, so SUNTZU Academy, where we will be posting. Oh, first on YouTube, I will be posting SUNTZU Podcast highlights. So each singular topic we are talking about here within those podcasts, like for example, how the marketing failed, or just our heavy artillery feedback, or elephant feedback that we had in the previous test. All of that will be chopped down into singular videos, and those will be anywhere between sometimes 3-4 minutes long up to 25-30 minutes long, but it's all singular topic. And then put it on Reddit as a discussion thread, and then you can provide high-level feedback, or you can also provide low-level feedback if that's all you're capable of. But hey, we are not discouraging anybody. Just go on our Reddit, provide some feedback, and then it is much easier to link a Reddit thread or even a YouTube video with comments to developers as a feedback form rather than a Discord discussion, for example. Because that's just not going to work, and the developers are not going to bother to scroll through that. But a Reddit thread might just work. And we will be also posting memes and other interesting stuff. Are you guys looking forward to participate in those Reddit discussions? Do you have any ideas maybe for the topics you would like to start? The threads?
One of the threads. Go ahead, Kiwi.
Oh, yeah, sorry, thanks. I feel like right now, especially in the Western player base, because we're so ingrained into what worked previously and previous metas and things like that, the game has completely changed. Like, completely changed. So I think a lot of content early on is going to be kind of adapting to those new changes, understanding what the new win conditions are. If you play like the old way, you will lose. Simple as that. Understanding these certain time aspects of the games and like the ranking up system. And I think that'll be really important also because CA are still kind of in the middle of developing that stuff. I feel like it's very unfinished. And the more player feedback and the more that we essentially break the game, then the better quality the balancing will be in the future.
Yeah, I have myself noticed that as I was watching those replays to make the videos, the battle commentaries that I've been recording, I even made a video just recently. I released it today, I believe. Yeah, it released a few hours ago, which is about. It's literally pretty much the very same situation, but one is happening in the wargaming version, and the other is happening in the Chinese version. And I compare those two situations, like, okay, well, in Arena, those units just die, and therefore these consequences are this, and this. But in Chinese version, they don't die, and well, these die. So these guys lose their XP, this guy doesn't lose his HP, he gets to go back and heal, and therefore it snowballs much harder, for example. Or, cavalry, because of that is overpowered, because it has faster access to the healing zone, etc., etc. And also, my feedback and opinion of the game and its balance also constantly evolves as you notice more and more things. For example, recently I started disliking the healing zones and where they're placed because I was thinking about it since the very first test, and I think it's in the very first podcast. I mean, the podcast about the first test. So it's our second podcast episode, I believe. And yeah, right now, my opinion has changed since then, evolved, as I've gathered more and more data. And now I believe that, for example, the healing zones should be placed further back to allow more aggressive play. But maybe as I discover more and more factors, I'll change my opinion back again. And maybe I'll say they should be closer.
Well, actually, the reality is that those maps need a complete redesign. Like, they're not designed for that game mode. It's
That is also
like
true.
Trying to play chess on a football field. That's a terrible analogy.
Well, maybe on a checkers board.
Well, I mean, no, not even that, because the maps are too big. It means that the game has stopped becoming a 10v10 game and has started to become lots of mini 4v4 games, essentially, because you can't overwhelm one flank, you can't hard push, you can't, retreat and then turn. Like all of these big, very, very effective strategies that we used to see in competitive play are now no longer valid. So, we're going to have to try and work out what that is. And the only way to get through to CA would be to start these discussions on Reddit and to make these compelling points, because I feel that at the tail end of the wargaming era of Total War Arena, there was a lot of community feedback and balance changes were made based on things like that, like, watchtowers being removed and certain abilities being buffed and things like that, based on what people were, how they were playing.
Yeah, see, I disagree with some of the points you made, or maybe I do not think they're as extreme as you make them to be, because I don't think the game changed that much, like that completely, and it's still a 10v10, but
Well, I can give you an example.
Okay, let's not dive into it. Anyway, my point is here that I would like to get into that discussion with you on Reddit instead of here on the podcast, and that is going to evolve into an interesting thread. Foxy, did you want to add anything? Or did you just kind of muted and unmuted yourself?
No. Basically, I think the game changed, that's for sure, but literally only the macro changed by quite a lot. Like how you move across the map, how you set up your ambush or your counter push or whatever it is. But the micro, how you fight, the opponent itself didn't really change that much. So
yeah, the fighting mechanics obviously is still the same, but the overall macro mechanics is, as you mentioned, we have respawns, healing zones, XP, capture points, all those new elements that change the game quite a lot.
And only XP adds to the micro. You actually have more to watch out for when you're fighting, which is nice.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, let's move on from Reddit. But yeah, you've seen the root, the seed of some of the discussions that may just pop out on Reddit. But you can also have those discussions on our Discord. Although if they are feedback focused, I would still highly recommend to go to Reddit, because that is going to be much better place to actually reach the developers with our feedback. And Discord,